Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with some more Socrates. Today's going to be interesting because we'll be dealing with the trial of Socrates, and we're talking about the argument with Meletus, right? This is the second part. The first part, Socrates outlined the charges against him, and now he is going to try to refute that through example in argument with Meletus. Now, we will be going into the text, but before we do, I wanted to look up what Meletus looks like because I like to show y'all a visual like we did with Socrates and like we did with Plato. But there isn't one. There is, however, a description of him of having a beak like nose, stringy hair, being young, and a beard that kind of straggly coming in. And this is not throwing shade on this creator because I watch his stuff every single day. And we don't always agree on everything, but we agree on a lot of things. But one person came to mind when I thought of that description, and so I had to do it. I had to do it. I had to do it. If y'all don't know who this is Sticks, Axe, and Hammer 666. He does political commentary on YouTube, Rumble, and on several other platforms, and he is very successful at it. He is a very intelligent young man because he is probably half my age, but he has a very interesting perspective on things, even on things that we disagree with. But regardless, I could not pass by. Like, I couldn't get a good profile view, but he has a larger nose, right? And a narrow face with the beard wasn't fully grown in at this point, and his hair was kind of straight. Like, it just kind of reminded me of it. It's just me being funny, and I mean no shade whatsoever to Sticks, but that was funny. Now, let's dive in where we left off. I'm going to read through this last bit that I read before so that we can get a feel of where we're at. He's wrapping up the charges. Well, then, the charge states that I am acting unjustly by corrupting the young. And yet, I state, men of Athens, that Meletus is acting unjustly because he is making a joke of a serious matter by blithely bringing people to trial, pretending to be serious, and concerned about matters that he has never cared about at all. But I shall also attempt to demonstrate to you that this is the case. Now, the charges are that he is corrupting the youth because he is trying to make them question things. They come with the assertion that they are correct, and he asks them questions until they realize that they were not. This is wisdom. This, according to the oracle, was he made him the most wise person alive. And so, now he addresses Meletus. And it's hard because I cannot change between voices as I would really like to do because of this thing in my throat. And so I'm not going to be able to swap between. Y'all are just going to have to try and keep up. I will do my best to make it happen. Come, Meletus, tell me, do you not attach great importance to the younger generation being in the best condition possible? I do. Come on then. Tell these people, who is it who makes them better? Yes, you obviously know who it is since you care, for you claim to have discovered their corrupter, me, and you are bringing me before these men pressing charges. So, come on, tell them. Who makes young people better? Tell them who this is. Do you see, Meletus, that you are silent and have nothing to say? But do you not think this is shameful and enough to prove what I am saying? You do not care. But speak, good man. Who makes them better? The laws. But, best of men, I did not ask you that. No. I ask who the person is who knows this in the first place. Who knows the laws? These people, Socrates, the jurors. What are you saying, Meletus? Are the jurors here able to educate the young and make them better? Very much so. All the jurors? Or just some of them? All of them. By Hera, that is good news. You are saying that there is a whole host of people who benefit the young. And what about those who are listening? Do they make them listening in? Do they make them better or not? Those people too. What about those who sit on the council? Those who sit on the council too. Well, Meletus, Perhaps those in the assembly, the assemblymen, corrupt the young? Or do they all make them better too? They do too. So it seems that all the Athenians make them noble and good except me. I alone corrupt them. Is this what you're saying? That is what I am saying most emphatically. Well, then you have laid a great misfortune at my door. Now, answer this question for me. Do you think this is also the case with horses? That everyone makes them better? While there is one person who corrupts them, or is it completely the other way around? There is one person, or very few, the horse trainers, who can make them better, while most people corrupt the horses if they deal with them or use them. Isn't this the case, Meletus, both with horses and all animals? It is, of course, entirely so, whether yourself or Anitus confirm it or deny it. Indeed, it would be a great blessing to the young people if only one person corrupted them, while everyone else benefited them. But in fact, Meletus, you are demonstrating quite adequately that you have not given a moment's thought to the young people. And you are blatantly exposing your own uncaring attitude. You do not care about the issues on which you are persecuting me. And by Zeus, Meletus, tell us this besides. Is it better to dwell among the good citizens or wicked ones? Answer, my man, for I have not asked you a difficult question. Do not the wicked do some harm to those who are always closest to them, while the good do some good? Yes, certainly. Now, is there anyone who prefers to be harmed by his associates rather than benefited? Answer, good man, the law. In fact, the law demands that you answer. Is there anyone who wishes to be harmed? No, of course not. Well, come then, are you persecuting me here for corrupting the young and making them more wicked intentionally or unintentionally? I say intentionally. What is this, Meletus? Are you, at your age, so much wiser than I am at my age that you have recognized that the bad people always do some harm to those closest to themselves, and the good do some good, while I am in such depths of ignorance that I do not even realize that if I make any of my fellows wicked, I run the risk of being harmed by him? And so, according to you, I perform such an evil deed as this intentionally. No, Meletus, you do not convince me of any of this, and I do not think anyone is convinced either. Well then, either I do not corrupt them, or if I corrupt them, I do so unintentionally. And so, in either case, you are speaking falsely. But if I corrupt them unintentionally, you should not by law bring me to court over a mistake like this. Instead, you should instruct me and rebuke me in private. Yet, although you have avoided my company and been reluctant to instruct me, you nevertheless bring me here to court, where by law you should bring those who are in need of punishment rather than instruction. In any case, men of Athens, it is obvious at this stage, as I said, that Meletus has never shown any great concern for these matters, not in the least. Nevertheless, Meletus, tell us, in what way do I corrupt the young, according to you? Or is it quite obvious from the charge you have brought against me that I do so by teaching them not to believe in the gods the city believes in, but in some other novel, divine forces? Don't you say that I corrupt them by teaching them this? Yes, certainly. That is what I am saying emphatically. Well, Meletus, by those very gods we are now talking about, speak more clearly, both to myself and to these gentlemen here, for I cannot understand you. Are you saying that I teach them to believe in some gods, and that I myself actually believe in gods, and am not a total atheist, and unjust in that sense? Is your charge against me that the gods I believe in are not the gods of the city, but different? Or are you claiming that I myself do not believe in gods at all, and I teach these doctrines to others? That is what I am saying, that you do not believe in gods at all. You are surprised, Meletus. What makes you say this? Do I not actually believe that the sun and moon are gods, as other men do? No, by Zeus, gentlemen of the jury, since he declares that the sun is stone and the moon is earth. Dear Meletus, do you think that you are accusing Anaxagoras? Do you have such contempt for these men, and think them so unlettered as to not know that the books of Anaxagoras of Clazomenene are full of doctrines? Sorry, I know I butchered that. And do these young really learn these doctrines from me, when they can sometimes buy them in the market for a drachma at most, and laugh at Socrates if he pretends they are his own, especially when they are so strange? But by Zeus, is this really what you think? Do I believe that there isn't any God? By Zeus, you do not at all. You have no credibility, Meletus, and I do not think that even you believe this yourself. Indeed, in my opinion, men of Athens, this man is extremely arrogant and unrestrained, and has simply brought this charge in the spirit of arrogance, unrestraint, and impetuosity. Yes, he is like someone posing a riddle as a test. So, will Socrates the wise recognize that I am making a joke and contradicting myself? Or will I deceive him and everyone else who hears me? In fact, the man appears to me to contradict himself in the charge, as if he were saying, Socrates is acting unjustly by not believing in gods, but believing in gods. But this is a joke. Join with me then, gentlemen, and consider in detail how, in my view, he is saying this. You should answer our questions, Meletus, while you gentlemen should recall the favor I asked of you at the beginning. Do not cause a commotion if I conduct the discussion in my accustomed manner. Is there anyone, Meletus, who believes that there are human affairs, but does not believe there are human beings? Let him answer, gentlemen. Do not make one commotion after another. Is there anyone who does not believe in horses, yet believes in equestrian affairs? Or who does not believe that there are flute players, but believe in matters concerned with flute playing? Best of men, there is not. Since you do not wish to respond, I am telling you and everyone else here. But you must at least answer my next question. Is there anyone who believes that there are divine forces, but does not believe in divinities? There is not. How good of you to answer reluctantly under compulsion from these men here. Now, you claim that I believe in and teach divine forces. Never mind if they're novel or ancient. According to you, I believe in divine forces anyway. And you have sworn this in your indictment. But if I believe in divine forces, it really is necessary, of course, that I believe in divinities. Isn't this the case? Yes, it is. Well, I'm presuming you agree, since you won't answer it. Do we not hold that the divinities are either gods or the children of gods? Do you agree or not? Very much so. Therefore, if, in fact, as you say, I hold that there are divinities and the divinities are gods, this would then constitute what I refer to as your riddling and jesting, saying that I do not believe in gods, and then again that I believe in gods, since I do actually believe in divinities. Yet, if, on the other hand, the divinities are illegitimate children of gods, born of nymphs, or anyone else who is said to be their mother, is there any man who would believe that there are children of God, but not believe there are gods? Yes, that would be just as strange as someone believing that there are offsprings of horses and asses, namely mules, and not believing there are horses and asses. But, Meletus, you really must have been testing us out here when you brought this charge, or else you were at a loss for genuine injustice to charge me with. But you could never persuade anyone possessed of even a little intelligence that the same person can believe in divine forces and matters divine, and yet, at the same time, believe neither in divinities nor gods nor heroes. He simply couldn't do it. Well then, men of Athens, I do not think much defense is needed to show that I am not acting unjustly. Based upon Meletus's charge, even this should suffice. But mark my words, what I said earlier is true. I have attracted a lot of hatred from a lot of people, and this is what will convict me. If I am convicted, not Meletus, not Ananias, but the slander and malice of the multitude, this indeed has convicted many other good men. And I think it will continue to do so. There's no fear it will stop with me. Now, someone might ask, are you not ashamed, Socrates, that you have followed such a course as this, and now risk being executed as a result? To him I would respond justifiably, what you are saying is not right, sir. If you think a man of any merit at all should reckon his chances of living or dying whenever he engages in action, and not consider this alone, whether he is acting justly or unjustly, doing the works of a good man or a bad man. For according to your argument, all of the demigods who met their death at Troy would be worthless, including the son of Tethys, who was so contemptuous of danger once the alternative was disgrace, that when his mother, a goddess, said to him when he was eager to slay Hector, she said something like this, I think she said, my son, if you are going to avenge the murder of your friend Patroclus and slay Hector, you yourself shall be slain, says she. For straightway after Hector's death, destiny awaits you too. But when he heard this, he set death and danger at naught, and was much more afraid of living as a bad man who does not avenge his friends. So he says, may I die straight away, as soon as I have inflicted justice upon the unjust man, so that I remain not here by the curved ships, a laughingstock and burden to the earth. Do you imagine that he thought about death and danger? For in truth, men of Athens, this is how matters stand. Wherever a man may position himself, thinking it best to be there, or wherever he is positioned by his commander, there in my view he should remain, facing danger, reckoning nothing, neither death nor anything else, as worse than disgrace. Now, I would have been acting terribly, men of Athens, if I had remained at my post, just like anyone else, running the risk of being killed, when my commanders, chosen by yourselves, placed me in the ranks at Potidaea, Amphipolis, and Delium, yet deserted my post for fear of death, for any other reason, when the God, as I believed and understood, positioned me where I had to live, practicing philosophy and examining myself and others. Yes, that would be terrible. And in truth, anyone might justly haul me into court for not believing there are gods, disobeying the oracle, being afraid of death, and thinking I am wise when I am not. We pause for a reason, right? Yes, that would be terrible, and in truth, anyone might justly haul me into court for not believing there are gods, disobeying the oracle, being afraid of death, and thinking I am wise when I am not. That is a sentence beyond all sentences right there. There is wisdom contained in that, right? There is a God. There is no doubt in my mind. There might be in yours, but I'm okay with you not believing anything that I believe. As long as you live in the correct manner, I don't care. But at the time, that was not the case. At the time, you could literally be put to death for not believing in a God. But it's important to note at this point, right here, that Socrates could have stood, if he so believed, that there were no God. And he would have felt rightly justified and would have stood on pain of death upon doing so. That is not to say he is right or wrong about the divinity. I hold my own beliefs. I believe he is right. He believed that his parents had committed him to a demon, and that this demon spoke to him and that he could hear it. So He had proof of the other, in his own mind at least. And so, if he had not believed in God, so I believe that he would have stood on that business right here. He would have said right here, I don't believe that there are gods. He does. Because his mind works a little bit differently than other people's does. And he sees things in different ways than other people do. Than normal people, right? We talked about his physical description and how he would probably be medicated and all of those things. And so, all of that just to say that I believe that he very firmly believed in a God, singular, not necessarily the plurality of the city's gods. And that is his argument. He believes in a God who set the forces and who uses science to show the way. And in that way, we are very much the same, separated by this great distance in time. Continuing. For I tell you, gentlemen, fearing death is no different from thinking you are wise when you are not. For it is thinking you know what you do not know. In fact, no one actually knows whether death may not turn out to be the greatest good of all for man. And yet they fear it, as if they know quite well it is the greatest of evils. It's the fear of the unknown, right? And here I have to pause again because I have experiential knowledge. I cannot relate to you in anything that you can ever confirm. But I have had experiential knowledge of the afterlife. I have been separated from my body numerous times, and I've had near-death experiences. I have been outside of this vessel and climbed back in. I have had a transcendental situation where I was pulled outside of my body in meditation and brought on a guided tour of the universe. Now, there was no corporeal being who brought me on the tour, but as I went along, I knew what the things were. And so, I don't fear death. Right? I fear a life not lived well, and my only regret is the time that I wasted. I don't fear the coming, no matter what it is. Like, I can empathize with a lot, and all of the descriptions. Like, I don't visually see anything. I don't know if I've talked about that in this study or not, but I am not capable of closing my eyes and visualizing a single thing. I can't do a blade of grass. I can't do a box. I can't do a wall. I have what is called aphantasia. And so when I talk about a visualization experience, when I get pulled out and I see things, it's not me seeing it. But I have seen the universe. I have seen that there is nothing to fear. Does that make sense? I have experientially, I'm able to tell you through experience that you don't have to fear. And I understand that that will never be enough. But you can, in the same manner, through meditation and prayer and fasting, have the same experience. It is not gated to me, and there is no special knowledge that you need to get there. You just have to have the honest desire and drive and will to do it. I also believe that Socrates had the same type of experience from other writings by Plato. And so that's why I wanted to bring that in right here. I may have wandered a little bit more than I wanted to, but it is what it is. And is this not the most disgraceful? Ignorance, thinking you know what you do not know. And to this extent, in this case, too, gentlemen, I perhaps am different from most people. And if I were to claim to be wiser than anyone, in any respect it would be in this. I do not know enough about what is an Hades. So I do not presume that I know either. But I do know that it is bad and a disgrace to act unjustly and to disobey a superior, be he God or human. So I shall fear and flee from the evils I know to be evil, and not from what might, for all I know, actually be good. And so, even if you let me go now, ignoring Ananias, who said that either I should have not been brought to court at all, or since I have been brought to court, that must be put to death, warning you that if I get off your sons, will soon be totally corrupted. All of them by practicing what Socrates teaches. If in response to this you were to say to me, Socrates, on this occasion we shall not heed Ananias, instead we shall let you go, but on this condition, that you no longer spend your time in this inquiry, nor engage in philosophy, and should you ever be caught doing so again, you shall die. Now, if, as I said, you were to let me go on these conditions, I would say to you, men of Athens, I embrace you and I love you, but I shall heed the God rather than you. And as long as I am alive and able to do so, I shall not cease engaging in philosophy, exhorting you and pointing out to any one of you whom I ever meet, saying in my usual manner, best of men, you are Athenians, citizens of the greatest city, most renowned for her wisdom and power. Are you not ashamed that you care about piling up as much money, reputation, and honor as you can, while giving no care or thought to wisdom and truth, and how your soul may be as good as it can be? And if one of you disputes this and says that he does care, I will not let him go immediately, nor shall I depart. No, I shall question, examine, and cross-examine him. And if I think he has not acquired excellence, but he says that he has, I shall rebuke him for attaching the least value to what is most valuable, and considerable value to things of lesser worth. And I shall do this to anyone I come across, old or young, stranger or fellow citizen, but especially to you, my fellow citizens, as you are my closest kin. For mark my words, the God commands this, and I think no greater good has yet come to you in this city than my service to the God. For my only occupation is to go about persuading you, old and young, to care neither for your bodies nor for your money, more or with more intensity than your soul, so that it may be excellent as it can be. And so I say, excellence does not come from money, but from excellence. Money and everything else that is good comes to mankind, in private or in public. Now, if I corrupt the young by saying all of this, this would be harmful. But if anyone claims I say anything else apart from this, he is talking nonsense. And so I would say, men of Athens, whether you obey Ananias or not, whether you let me go or not, I shall never change my ways, not even if I die many times over. Men of Athens, do not create a commotion. I asked you not to make a commotion over what I said, so please abide by my request and listen. And in fact, I think you will profit from listening, for I am now going to tell you something else at which you will probably make an outcry. But please do not do so. Not at all, for mark my words, if you put me to death, being the sort of person I say I am, you will harm yourselves more than you harm me. In fact, neither Meletus nor Ananias could harm me, for that would not be possible, because I do not think it permissible that a better man be harmed by a worse. Yes, he may perhaps put me to death, exile me, or deprive me of my rights, and although he probably thinks these are great evils, and others presumably think so too, I don't think so. No, it's a far greater evil to do what he is now doing, attempting to put a man to death in an unjust manner. So, men of Athens, I am not making my defense on my own behalf, as someone might presume, but on behalf of you, lest you make a mistake concerning the gift God gave you by condemning me. For if you kill me, you will not easily find someone else like me who literally, even if it sounds comical to say so, is attached to the city by God, as though it were a great thoroughbred steed, sluggish due to his size, that needs to be woken up by a sort of gadfly. Well, I am like that gadfly whom the God has attached to the city, the sort of person who never stops rousing and persuading and censuring each one of you, alighting upon you all day long wherever you go. Now, you will not easily get someone else like me, gentlemen. So, if you take my advice, you will spare me. But you may perhaps be angry with me, like people woken from their slumbers, and swat me on Ananias' advice and kill me without giving it a second thought. But then you would live out the rest of your lives in slumber, unless the God, out of concern for you, were to send you someone else like me. And from this you may recognize that I am such a person, given to the city by the God, for it seems scarcely human that I have neglected all business of my own, and suffered the neglect of my family affairs for so many years now, constantly busy with your concerns, coming to you like a father or elder brother, urging you to care for excellence. Now, if I derived any advantage from this, or was paid for these exhortations of mine, I might have some motive. But now you surely see for yourselves that my accusers, although they make all these other accusations without a hint of shame, were not so shameless as to bring witness to say I ever charged a fee, or asked for one. Indeed, I think I am providing sufficient evidence that I am speaking the truth by my poverty. Now, perhaps you think it strange that I go around giving this advice and meddling in affairs in private, and dare not appear before your assembly in public and give advice to the city. You have heard me describing the reason for this on many occasions in many places. Something divine and marvelous comes to me, which Meletus makes a joke of in the charge that he brought. I've had it from childhood. It is a sort of voice that arises, and whenever it arises, it always turns me away from doing something I am about to do, but never urges me on. This is what opposes my engagement in civic affairs. I think it is absolutely right to oppose. For mark my words, men of Athens, if, in times gone by, I had attempted to engage in civic affairs, I would have been put to death long ago, and would have benefited neither yourselves nor myself. And you should not be angry with me for speaking the truth, for no one who genuinely opposes yourselves, or any other multitude at all, preventing numerous injustices and illegalities from taking place in a city, will be safe. Rather, anyone who is actually fighting on the side of justice, and who intends to be safe, even for a short time, must act privately rather than publicly. And again I say, as went Socrates, so goes our republic. We are following in the exact same footprints as that. I shall provide you with strong evidence for this, not with words, but with something you respect. Deeds. Listen to what happened to me so that you may understand that I would never yield to anyone for fear of death if it were contrary to justice. I would rather die on the spot than yield. I am going to recount some tiresome legal matters to you, but they are true. For although, men of Athens, I have never held any other office in the city, I did serve on the council, and, as it happened, our tribe, Antiochus, made up the commission when you decided to judge. As a single group, the 10 generals who failed to recover the casualties of the naval battle, which was contrary to the law, as you all accepted afterwards. On that occasion, I was the only council member who opposed your doing anything contrary to the laws, and I voted against you. And while the orators were ready to charge and arrest me, and you were all encouraging them and shouting at me, I thought that I should side on law and justice, in spite of the danger, rather than side with yourselves in making an unjust decision, for fear of imprisonment or death. This all happened while the city was still under democratic rule, but once the oligarchy was established, the 30 for their part sent for me and 4 others to the council chamber, and ordered us to bring Leon the Salaminarian from Salamis to be executed. In fact, they often gave orders like this to many others as well, wishing to implicate as many people as possible in their actions. Here again, I demonstrated, not in word, but in deed, that I really do not care about death at all, if it is not too blunt to say so. Yet I am extremely careful to perform no unjust or unholy deed. Indeed, that regime, powerful and all as it was, did not intimidate me into performing an unjust act. No, once we had come out of the council chamber, the other 4 left for Salamis and fetched Leon, while I left and went home. For this I would have probably have been executed had the regime not fallen so quickly. Of these events you will have numerous witnesses. Well then, do you think I would have survived all these years had I taken to public life and, acting as befits a good man, had sided with the just, and set that above all else as one should? Far from it, men of Athens, nor indeed would anyone else. But throughout my entire life, both in public, if I ever engaged in such activities, and also in private, you will see that I am the very same. I have never gone along with anyone in anything contrary to justice, not even with those whom my slanderers proclaim to be my pupils. Yet, although I have never been any man's teacher, if anyone wishes to listen to me as I speak and go about my business, I begrudge that to no one, old or young. Neither do I engage in discourse only when I am paid, and not otherwise. No, I submit myself to questioning by rich and poor alike, and anyone who wishes may hear what I say in reply. And if any of them happens to become a good person or a bad one, I may not be properly held responsible, since I neither taught nor promised to teach them anything. And if anyone says he has ever learned or heard something from me in private, which everyone else has not, I assure you he is not speaking the truth. But why exactly is it that some people enjoy spending so much time with me? Listen, O men of Athens, for I have told you the whole truth already. They enjoy hearing me examine people who think they are wise when they are not. Is it not an unpleasant pastime? But, as I say, I have been ordered by the God to do this through prophecies, dreams, and other means, whereby a divine portion has ever ordered a human being to do anything at all. All of this is true, men of Athens, and easily tested. For if I am indeed corrupting some young people, and have already corrupted others, surely some of them now grown older, realizing that I once gave them evil counsel when they were young, should come forward at this stage to accuse me, and get their revenge. And if they did not wish to do this to themselves, some of their relatives and their fathers, brothers, their other family members should now remember any evil their kinfolk has suffered at my hands, and if there were any, and take their revenge. In any case, I can see a lot of them here. First and foremost is Plato, a man of my own age and demean. the father of Cratylus here, and Lysanias of Cephetos, the father of this man, Aeschines, and Typhion of Cephisus too, the father of Epigenes. Then there are others whose brothers have been involved in this occupation of mine. Nicostratus, the son of Theozytitus, the brother of Theodotus. And since Theodotus is dead, he for one could not have implored his brother not to make the accusation. I see Paralyus, son of Demodocus, whose brother was Theages. And here is Diamantus, the son of Ariston, and this is his brother. Plato, and there is Adontorus and his brother Apollodorus. And I should mention many others to you, any one of whom Meletus really should have introduced as a witness in the course of his own speech. But if he forgot at the time, let him introduce them now. I shall yield my place to him. And if he has such a witness, let him say so. But you will find the complete opposite, gentlemen. They are all ready to side with me, the corrupter, the man who, according to Meletus and Ananias, inflict harm upon their own kindred. Now, those who have been corrupted might perhaps have a reason to side with me, but what reason would their uncorrupted older relatives have for siding with me, apart from the right and just reason that they are aware that Meletus is speaking falsely, while I am speaking the truth? There it is, gentlemen. This, or the likes of this, is almost all I have to say in my defense. But some of you may well take offense when he recalls how he himself, while contesting a lesser charge than this one, begged and implored the jurors in floods of tears, parading his own children before them, other members of his household too, and lots of friends, just to arouse as much pity as he could. And now he finds that I do nothing of the sort, even though I am apparently facing the utmost peril. So, someone might perhaps think like this, be hardened against me and enraged by these very issues, may cast his vote in anger. Well, if any of you are in this situation, then I am not actually maintaining that you are, but if you are, I think it would be unreasonable for me to speak to this person and say, best of men, I too have some family members, for, as Homer puts it, I am not born of oak and rock, but of men. And so I have kinfolk and sons too, men of Athens, 3 of them. 1 already a young man, 2 still children. Nevertheless, I shall not parade any of them before you and beg you to vote for my acquittal. Well then, why won't I do this? It is not out of defiance, men of Athens, or any disrespect for you. Whether or not I am courageous in the face of death is another matter. But in view of my own reputation, and that of yourselves and the entire city, I do not think it good that I do anything like this at my age and with the name I have. For whether this is true or false, it has been decided that Socrates is somehow superior to most people. Now, if those of you who are reputed to be superior in wisdom or courage or in any other excellence were to behave in this way, that would be a disgrace. The people I have seen on trial on a number of occasions, reputable people indeed, yet behaving in an extraordinary manner, as if they thought something awful would befall them if they were executed, as if they were actually going to live forever if you did not execute them. To me, they seem to bring shame upon the city, so that any visitors would presume that the Athenians, superior in excellence, whom they select from among themselves to hold high office and other positions of honor, are no better than women. Indeed, men of Athens, these are the actions which you should not perform if you have any worthy reputation at all. And you should not allow us to perform them either. Instead, you should demonstrate that you would much rather vote to convict someone who puts on such a pitiful performance and makes a laughingstock of the city than someone who holds his peace. Quite apart from reputation, gentlemen, it does not seem right to me either to employ a juror or to get acquitted by begging. It should be done through instruction and persuasion, for a juror is not there to bestow favors in matters of justice, but to give judgments. And he is sworn not to show favor to people he prefers, but to deliver judgments in accordance with the laws. Therefore, you should not make a habit of breaking your oaths, nor should we get you into that habit either, for neither of us would be acting with due reverence. So, men of Athens, do not expect me to behave towards you in a manner I regard as neither noble, nor just, nor holy, most especially by Zeus, when I am actually being charged with impiety by Meletus over there. For it is clear that if I were to persuade and compel you by begging you, when you have sworn this oath, I would be teaching you not to believe there are gods, and would, in effect, while defending myself, accuse myself of not believing in gods. But this is not how the matter stands. Far from it, for I believe in them, man of Athens, that none of my accusers believes. And I commit to you and to the God my cause to be judged, in whatever way may be best for me and you. There are many reasons, men of Athens, why I am not troubled by this outcome. That you voted to convict me. Okay, but this is where we're going to wrap it up. Next up will be the conviction, right? Spoiler alert, he gets convicted. And this is as good a place as any to stop. It's getting kind of long, and we will have some discussions to have in the next part. We will be stopping it more. And so, hopefully, I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a not too complicated topic. I stand quite firmly with Socrates in this. I personally believe in God. Right? There is one God. He is everyone's God, whether or not you believe it. I believe that he created all the things in the same manner that Socrates does, to my best understanding. I believe that, let me fix that for y'all. I believe that being accused of corrupting people by exposing the truth is the greatest hypocrisy of all time. The fact that he was indeed executed for this is ridiculous, because what we are seeing him do, what he did with Meletus, that's the entire argument against him. That he uses questions and reasoning to try and bring about truth and enlightenment. Right? If you hold a very strong convicted belief, you should know why, and you should be correct. If you hold it upon pain of death, even more so. And so what he would do was he would pick apart your belief, not to destroy your belief, but instead to make sure that you understood it. And so your belief was, I believe that chickens have feathers, right? Well, why do you believe that? That's the question. And, well, I believe it because it is attached to the chicken. Well, how do you know that? Did you put your hands on it? That is the type of reasoning. Now, some of us these days have not seen a chicken, but we think they have feathers. Do you know they have feathers? Have you ever actually put your fingers on a feather? Some of us have. I used to raise chickens, and I've been very involved with chickens for many different parts of my life, and so I do know what feathers are like. But that was the type of questions he would ask. Do you know? And if you know, how do you know that that is a feather? And he would pick apart the reasoning, and that is why he's on trial, because he picked apart reasoning from someone who didn't like it, and it pissed him off. That he exposed truth, and it pissed him off. And so they brought against him whatever charges they could possibly find. Now, once again, I hate to get too political on this channel, but there are an awful lot of false charges being laid. Charges laid against someone who was probably, in the best interpretation, trying to expose a little bit of truth. Now, whether the manner of that was legitimate or not is up for a debate and argument. I'm not even going to state, although you can infer. Where this was is where we are. This point of the Republic is where we are in our Republic. Make no mistake about it. What is about to happen to the Republic post-Socrates is going to happen to this Republic for the same exact reasons. And it is an interesting thing to watch, to look back through history and to see way back then all of these things laid out as though they would come true. And then they do. We, O men of freedom, must stand for truth. And we, O men of freedom, must do that upon pain of death. Here is where I stand. I cannot retreat. I love it. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment, and hopefully this is shedding some light on your eyes as much as it is on mine. To see what all of this means. Like, that's why we're doing this, so that we can actually talk about what's actually happening in the text. I assumed for many years that I knew all of Socrates and Plato from a few little excerpts. That's the human fallacy, right? We believe we know more than we do. And then when we do know, we believe everyone knows as much as we do. It's a problem. We should constantly be in the search of more knowledge, and we should always hold in our hearts, deep inside, that we could be wrong. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pittcast. Peace.